Okay, I fixed it so it won't do that again. Oh, here we go. Okay. Hi guys. This is what I get for not going live in forever. Uh, I had to spend a half an hour troubleshooting on why it wouldn't connect. Hello Sydney and hello September Dragon Audio. Welcome. I thought I would try. I'm gonna try to make them a little more simple than I used to, I think. I also tried a new thumbnail. I hope you guys like the new thumbnail. So welcome guys. So, let me have a drink. Can you guys hear me? It says that you should. Also, this is a new mic. It is not what I used to record / live stream on. So, I don't know how good the quality is. Good. That's good to know that I'm being heard. That would suck if I've been talking to the void, including the one where I double checked if the mic was working. My bad. Though I noticed that this one doesn't pick up sorry, the movement of the, what's it called? What am I trying to think of? The movement of my boom arm. It doesn't seem to pick up that. So that's good. Alright, well, remember to like the stream and all that jazz. I'm going to try to live record this story for you guys. So hopefully I like it. Temp. Sorry, I know you guys don't listen to me record very often, but I have to put temp in because if I don't, the beginning of the recording always gets weird. All right, let us start. Helen's Bridge by only one. Hold on, only one. What's that? Only one. Mogan? I'm gonna go with Mogan. Helen's Bridge by only one Morgan 22. All right. It was right around this time of year 3 years ago when my current boyfriend and I first met. A few weeks later, went camping on Halloween weekend in the woods right next to the supposedly haunted Helen's Bridge, near Tunnel Road in Asheville. Asheville, yeah. Asheville. It was right around this time of year 3 years ago when my current boyfriend and I first met. A few weeks later, went camping on Halloween weekend in the woods right next to the supposedly haunted Helen's Bridge. Nope. A few weeks later, went camping on Halloween weekend in the woods right next to the supposedly haunted Helen's Bridge near Tunnel Road in Asheville, North Carolina. It was a beautiful spot. There was so much overlook, and with the bridge being right there with all the stories we had been told about it, it was haunting, true or not. Oh, no. It was a beautiful spot up there with so much overlook, with the bridge being... Bleh. It was a beautiful spot up there with so much overlook, and with the bridge being right there with all the stories we've been told about being haunted. It was a beautiful spot up there with so much overlook, and with the can't say bridge. That's not good. It was a beautiful spot up there with so much overlook, and with the bridge being right there, with all the stories we had been told about being haunted, true or not, it made it just scary enough for a little thrill. Okay, I'm just gonna go back and fix that. And nope, too far. And that. Okay. If you guys want me to do a fictional story after this, I can as well. I have lots of stories. Stories for days. I wish I could say Helen's Bridge, as we had planned, was the scariest scariest part of the no. I wish I could say I wish I could say Helen's Bridge, as we had planned, was the scariest part about that weekend. Not even close. It was Halloween, and we were planning on going to a show that night. T, my boyfriend, and I planned with each other. Bleh. Nope, please stop recording. Thank you. Alright. Okay. Okay. I wish I could say. Nope, don't I gotta start that. I wish I could say Helen's Bridge, as we had planned, was the scariest part about the weekend. Not even close. It was Halloween, and we were planning on going to a show that night. T, my boyfriend, and I planned with each other that I was going to get ready at camp. It was Halloween, and we are planning on going to a show that night. T and I. Bleh. Come on. It was Halloween, and we were planning on going to a show that night. T, my boyfriend, and I planned with each other. It was Halloween, and as we were. Bleh. Come on, stop. It was Halloween, and we were planning on going to a show that night. T, my boyfriend, and I planned with each other that I was going to get ready at camp while he walked into town to get some drinks and something to eat before we left. If he didn't make it back before dark, it would not be more than 30 minutes after that. I didn't have any problems with that. I had a lot of I didn't have any problems with that. I had a lot of experience. I didn't have any problems with that. I had a lot of experience solo camping, and it was pretty woodsy. I didn't have any problems with that. I had a lot of experience solo camping and was pretty woodsy. The most that would spook me would be a bear if one happened to wander up. We had chosen an area that was super secluded and more backcountry sort of camping, so it'd just be us for the whole weekend. More romantic that way. Like ugh. Like usual, it didn't take me long to get ready, and it was super. Ugh. Like usual, it didn't take me. Nope. Like usual, it didn't take me long to get ready, and it was super peaceful up there. I knew it was going to be around 45. Bleh. Like usual, it didn't take me long to get ready, and it was super peaceful up there. I knew it was going to be around 45 or so before he got back, so I decided to read a book in the tent with the door open for some air. Okay. There is a reason why I don't really live record very often for you guys. I do make a lot of mistakes while I'm recording. Hold on. What's going on here? Nope, stop. Okay, right here. That one. Okay. All right, we'll go continue on the next line. I am in between each paragraph. I am checking the chat just so you guys know. "10 minutes into reading, I heard a fairly large branch break a couple of feet behind my tent. I had learned how to gauge how large of an animal I might have been in the past by the sound they make walking through the woods. This one seems big, a bear. It wasn't quite pitch black out yet, so I got out of my tent, turned around to shout at it to get it to run away. And there stood a huge, probably 6'5", 6'6" man, completely taken off guard and pretty nervous about the situation. Without thinking, I said hi. He said hello and walked closer. Looking back, I wish I would have not been so friendly, but it had been a habit. But it had been a habit. Looking back, I wish I have not. Bleh. Looking back, I wish I've not been. Bleh. Looking back, I wish I have not been so friendly, but it had been habit. I thought he had just set up camp probably somewhere nearby and would be doing a quick introduction and retreat. I was horribly mistaken. I didn't know if he was saying things trying to get a rise out of me, scare me. I don't know what parts were true and still don't. He he immediately starts saying something like, "What's a pretty little thing like you doing alone in the woods all by herself?" No. He immediately started saying something like, "What's a pretty little thing like you doing alone in the woods all by herself? Don't you know bad things happen to pretty little girls like you?" I ignored him and said I wasn't alone. My boyfriend was right down the hill going to the bathroom and we'll be back right away. Nope, I'm going to redo that. I ignored him and said I wasn't alone. My boyfriend was right down the hill going to the bathroom and I ignored him and said I wasn't alone. My boyfriend was right down the hill going to the bathroom and would be right back. I hoped this would cause him to leave. Sadly, normally that doesn't work. Come on, about. Okay. Should be that much. I've been pretty good. How about you, September? How you been doing? How are you, Sydney, as well? How you guys doing? It's kind of nice to be live again. I don't think I'll ever have a date set in any way, so I don't think there'll be guest stuff anymore, but it is what it is. Okay, next one. But instead he said, "What if I told you that I've been watching you all for a..." Oh, jeez. God damn. Great. It's always what you want to hear. But instead he said, "What if I told you I've been watching you all for a few days now, and I know you're lying? He's gone for a minute," he said. "What are you hiding out in the woods?" I'm hiding. Oh, what are you? I wish you why. But instead he said, "What if I told you that I've been watching you all for a few days now, and I know you're lying? He's gone for a minute," he said. "What are you hiding out in the woods?" I'm hiding because I raped my girlfriend's sister. Great. That's great. That's great. Oh, great. What are you hiding out in the woods? I'm hiding because I raped my girlfriend's sister. I can't say the proper word on YouTube, so sorry, guys. And the worst part is, I think YouTube's starting to catch on that people use that word instead. What are you hiding? What are you hiding out in the woods? I'm hiding because I raped my girlfriend's sister. I can tell that bothers you. It bothers you a lot, doesn't it? My heart sank completely, and with a complete loss for words, my heart sank. I'm gonna take that one too. My heart sank completely, and with a complete loss for words, I'm fairly certain my stomach was going to fall out of my ass. I was shaking and was hoping he couldn't tell because of it getting darker. I wanted to appear annoyed and calm, just annoyed at his existence. I rolled my eyes, grabbed my water bottle to give my brain a few seconds to figure out how to tell him to go fuck away from me. I rolled my eyes. I rolled my eyes, grabbed my water bottle to give my brain a second to figure out how to tell him to get the fuck away from me. Maybe just that. Yep, let's go with that. When I looked up to tell him, he had somehow, extremely quietly, gotten significantly closer to me. Close enough to punch me in the face, cause me to fall back. I was probably knocked out for a second. When I opened my one eye, he punched me again and tried to get on top of me. Oh, fuck. Hello, Duchess! Welcome. And I'm good, Duchess. How are you? Well, I am hoping that I made your day, Sydney, by going live. I know you've been missing my lives. Okay, I'm gonna redo that because I don't like how I read it. Close enough to punch me in the face, caused me to fall back. I was probably knocked out for only a second. When I opened my only one eye he punched me again and tried to get on top of me. I thought that was how close he was, not that he actually did that first when I read it. Well, I'm happy I made your day, Cindy. Okay, last paragraph. Terrified, I rolled out of the... Hold on, she wrote something wrong. I rolled out of the and just kept rolling until I got... Terrified, I rolled out of... I'm going to reword that one because I'm not sure what word she meant. Terrified, I rolled away from him and kept rolling until I got up and started running. Okay. Yeah, okay. Terrified, I rolled away from him and just kept rolling until I could get up and start running. To where I don't know, I had no light and no shoes and no phone. Hold on. Terrified, I rolled away and just kept rolling till I got up and started running. To where I didn't... to where I didn't know. I had no light and no shoes and no phone. And it was a good mile or so before any neighborhood. I was screaming, and I could hear him screaming, chasing after me. You're dead when I catch you. You're fucking dead when I catch you. You're so fucked when I catch you. Okay. You're dead when I catch you. You're so fucked when I catch you. Nope, don't like how I read that. You're dead when I catch you. You're so fucked when I catch you. I got a car and hide under it. I got a car. Okay. Some of this is... yeah, it's all good. I got to a car and hid under it. I didn't see him after that. I was too scared to go anywhere near there, especially at night. So I asked someone in a Joe's? Oh, in a house. In a house. That one I know. House. Okay. I got to a car and hid under it. I didn't see him after that. I was too scared to go anywhere near there, especially at night. So I asked someone in a house I knocked on to use their phone to call the police and my boyfriend. Ironically enough, turns out the monster's name was Jason. Halloween got extremely too real that year. Oh, she had Jason as her friend. That is ironic, though. His name was Jason. That one is one that I asked to narrate for Halloween, and they got back to me like, oh god, I think it was last month in February. So I'm reading it now. Okay, okay. Okay, do you guys want me to read another true story or do you guys want a fictional story? Excuse me. Oh, god damn it. I'll take that as you guys don't mind what I narrate then next. Doo doo. What you do? My dog is staring at the door. She's such a butt. That's the last one where he spoke. Okay. You guys are good with either? Okay. Sounds good. Dishes are good. I finally got a new dishwasher. Only because the other dishwasher that you couldn't even use it. Like, it just kept clicking on different things. It was so annoying. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, and that was the last time he spoke, so this will be fast now. And that's garbage. Oops. Wrong button. Okay. What's the high as well? April. Okay. Just gotta let that export, and then we're good. Yeah, if I only lived with like, if there's only 2 of us in the house, I probably wouldn't need the dishwasher, but there's 5. Definitely need a dishwasher. Yeah, doing dishes when you have your kids go to bed is always a good thing too. All right. Okay, so that's saved. This is recorded. See a moment here. It's got to add something. Okay, good. Yeah. 6 minutes and 4 seconds. Oh, I actually just realized I don't really have many true stories left to read. My bad. I will need to fix that. Okay, I'll read you guys one more. I'll read you a fictional story and then we'll be done. So that you guys get one of each. One true and one fictional. I'll go with that. Okay, get over here. Stars. Stories, horror stories, and we're gonna go with this one. Okay. I just didn't bring up your... Okay. Why is it not seeing the new one then? That's weird. Okay. There it is. Found it. Okay. Sorry, sometimes things have problems. I swear, held together with duct tape and prayers. Temp. I think I found that. Okay. The Puppeteer by Rarethrop. I'm thinking that's how you pronounce it. Sometimes the usernames are weird. Sarah Mitchell has... Sarah Mitchell had always considered her husband. Yeah. Sarah Mitchell had always considered her husband, Agent David Mitchell, to be a man of order, intellect, and reason. His words were one of clear-cut facts. Nope, I don't like how I read that. Sorry. I'm picky. Sarah Mitchell... Bleh. Okay, apparently. Maybe I won't get the story out. We'll see. Sarah Mitchell had always considered her husband, Agent David Mitchell, to be a man of order, intellect, and reason. His words were his world, not world, words. His world was one of clear-cut facts, analyzed evidence, and unshakable logic. There was a comfort in that, in the way he could always separate emotion from There was a comfort in that, in the way he could always separate emotion from investigation, shield them both from the... There was a comfort in that, in the way he could always separate emotion from investigation, shield them from the chaos his work often entailed. So, when she discovered an unmarked file tucked away in his office drawer one evening, a file he had never mentioned, she was intrigued. Okay. Just gotta clear up my mistakes. All right. The file surface. The file surface was worn. The The file's surface was worn, the manila edges frayed as though it had passed through countless hands before finding its way to her. The label, in faded black ink, read, Re-101-The Puppeteer. It was a title that sent an involuntary shiver down her spine, though she could not yet explain why. Curiosity tugged at her like a child pulling on a sleeve, and Sarah, usually cautious, couldn't resist. She opened the folder. Oh no, Sarah, don't do that. That's always how you get killed. If you ever find a random envelope, don't open it. It's a bad idea. Nothing good ever comes up from random envelopes. / folders. At first glance, it looked just like another case file. Testimonies, photographs, surveillance reports, nothing she hadn't seen David shift through. At first glance, it looked like any other case file. Testimonies, photographs, surveillance photos. Nope, reports. At first glance, it looked like just any other... At first glance, it looked like just any other case file. Testimonies, photographs, surveillance reports. Nothing she hadn't seen David shift through countless times before. Yet something was different. A palpable heaviness filled the air as her eyes began scanning the contents. Kitty kitties, kitty kitties. Palpable. The first document was a brief report on a nameless victim. The identifications redacted. It had black on it. Redacted. The first document was a brief report on nameless victims, the identification redacted. What struck Sarah immediately was the way the incident was described. The victim had discovered an old photograph in a forgotten trunk in the attic of his childhood home. In the faded sepia image, a man stood with a puppet dangling from strings in his hand. But the puppet was not what had disturbed him. Oh, shoot. The first document was a brief report. The first document was a brief report on a nameless victim. The identifications. Bleh. The first document was a brief report on a nameless victim. The identification redacted. What struck Sarah immediately was the way the incident was described. The victim had discovered an old photograph in a forgotten trunk in the attic of their childhood home. In the faded sepia image, a man stood with a puppet dangling from strings in his hand. But the puppet was not what had disturbed them. It was the man. His face was smudged, indistinct blur, as though someone had intentionally obscured it from view. Oops. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. It was the kind of blur that didn't make sense in an old photograph. The face wasn't out of focus. It was deliberately hidden, as if a dark cloud of ink had seeped into the paper itself, making the figure seem both part of the image and not. And Sarah, you should put down this document and run away. Messed up photos are always bad. Jeez, does no one read horror stories? / narrate them. / read them all the time. / live and breathe them. Just saying. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she continued reading. What had begun as a simple discovery quickly descended into a walking nightmare. The nameless victim had reported that the photograph seemed to change every time they looked at it. At first, it was subtle, just a shift in the light or the puppet's angle. But soon, the puppet appeared to move on its own, its positions different each time they returned to the image. Then came the hallucinations. Dark, distorted figures seemed seen in every corner. Okay, I'm gonna read that one, I think, entirely. Nope, stop, please. Thank you. This is totally reminding me of Goosebumps. The camera one, where that guy finds a really weird looking camera. Like, so weird. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she continued reading. What had begun as a simple discovery quickly descended into a walking nightmare. The nameless victim had reported that the photograph seemed to change every time they looked at it. At first, it was subtle, just a shift in the light or the puppet's angle. But soon, the puppet appeared to move on its own, its position different each time they returned to the image. But soon, But soon, the puppet appeared to move on its own, its position different each time they returned to the image. Then came the hallucinations. But soon, the puppet appeared to move on its own, its position different each time they returned to the image. Then came the hallucinations. Dark, distorted figures seemed in every scene. Then came the hallucinations. Dark, distorted figures seen in every corner of their vision. Voices in the dead of night. Whispers they couldn't quite decipher. And the dreams. Dreams of strings attaching to their limbs, pulling them in unnatural, jerking movements, as though they had become a marionette in the hands of some unseen master. The report ended abruptly. No conclusion, no final notes, just a single cryptic sentence. Victim is no longer responsive. Well, yeah, that would do it. Should we got 3 pages. Okay. Sarah's fingers trembled as she flipped the pages. Her eyes found the next entry. Another victim, a young woman this time. Excuse me. Sarah's fingers trembled as she flipped the pages. Her eyes found the next entry. Another victim, a young woman this time. Similar circumstances. She had found a drawer of a drawing of a puppet. Not a drawer, a drawing. Hey, ye old underpants gnome. Welcome. Sarah's fingers trembled as she... One more time. Sarah's fingers trembled as she flipped the page. Her eyes found the next entry. Another victim, a young woman this time. Similar circumstances. She had found a drawing of a puppet, half torn and crumpled inside an old book she purchased at a flea market. Like the first victim, it began with strange occurrences, items in her apartment shifting positions, shadows that didn't belong to anyone, and always the puppet, its twisted wooden limbs and painted eyes staring, unblinking. I hope you're doing good, gnome. And I'm happy you got here. I do try to make these a bit different than if you were just listening to me narrate. And you also get to hear all the lovely mistakes I make. There's so many of them. The nightmares came next. The woman had described the sensation of being controlled. Her body moved against her will. She awoke with bruises around her wrists and ankles. deep purple marks that resembled the impressions of no, I'm gonna reread that. The nightmares came next. The woman had described the sensation of being controlled, her body moving against her will. She awoke with bruises around her wrists and ankles, deep purple marks that resembled the impressions of tight pulling strings. Well, thank you, Mr. Underpants. Yeah. You know, was really funny? So I asked for a lot of stories and stuff, and people like, whenever I send them links, like, is that your real voice? And I'm like, yeah. Well, totally. And then I'll get like comments sometimes where they say like, oh, you should use your real voice, not AI. And I'm like, this is my real voice. I have live streams where you can see me being an idiot. I'm hoping there's no voice out there like me. I'd be so upset to find that out. I work hard for this voice that I was born with. As Sarah read, her chest tightened. This was no ordinary case. As Sarah read, As Sarah read, her chest tightened. This was no ordinary case. It was as though the entry, whatever it was, thrived on more than just fear. It fed on control, on the act of manipulating its victims until they were no longer their own. Each case followed the same eerie pattern. First contact with an image. Whether a photograph. Oops. Nope. First contact with an image. Nope. First contact with an image, whether a photograph, drawing, or even a sculpture. First contact was an image, whether a photograph, drawing, or even a sculpture, triggering the descent. And once the victim was touched by the puppeteer's influence, there's no escape. There was no escape. Okay, yep, we're good on that side. Oh, Dexter? Yeah. Got that. Okay. I'm actually getting through the story really fast. It's probably because I'm live reading. Sarah felt a growing unease settle in her stomach. The room had become noticeably colder. She glanced at the window. It was closed. She hadn't noticed before how still the house was. Sir, that's totally not how you say Sarah. Sarah felt a growing unease settling in her stomach. The room had become noticeably colder. She glanced at the window. It was closed. She hadn't noticed before how still the house was. No hum of the refrigerator, no distant murmur of the TV. Nothing but the sound of her own shallow breathing. Oops. 1 second. Oh, right. It doesn't mute that way. I forget how you mute this thing. It's fine. I was just gonna try to. But it's all good. I thought there was a mute button. Oh, thank you for your support, Gnome. Mr. Gnome. Alright. Sarah felt a growing unease settle in her stomach. The room had become noticeably colder. She glanced at the window. It was closed. Oh, no, I read this. Sorry, my bad. She reached the last few pages of the file. One final report caught her attention. The victim was different. Not a random bystander, but an investigator, a seasoned agent working for a covert. Covert's the word. Not convert. Crude food. Covert. It's now convent. There are none. Don't ask questions. She reached the last few pages of the file. One final report caught her attention. This victim was different. Not a random bystander, but an investigator, a seasoned agent working for a covert. She reached the last few pages of the file. One final report caught her attention. This victim was different. Not just a random bystander, but an investigator, a seasoned agent working for a Ooh, that word apparently is getting me. A seasoned agent working for a covert. A seasoned agent working for a covert. Okay, I think I got it. A seasoned agent working for a covert agency known as the AP. Okay, well, I got past the covert part. A seasoned agent working for a covert agency known as the APE, the Apocalypse Prevention Enterprise. Okay, oh, that wasn't where I was expecting that to go. A seasoned agent working for a covert. A seasoned agent working for a covert. It's covert 242. Covert. A seasoned agent working for a covert agency. A seasoned agent working for a covert agency known as the APE. A seasoned agent working for a covert agency known as the APE, the Apocalypse Prevention Enterprise. The agent's testimony was more detailed than the others, filled with critical observations. They had been assigned to investigate the origins of the puppeteer case after several unexplained disappearances. I got it. Yeah. Okay. Just let me delete that real quick. Get it all landy. They're no longer a nun. We have fixed the problem. Okay, about half a page of the other one. Okay. The agent's notes were meticulous, charting their own mental unraveling as they dug deeper. They obtained a photograph, much like the others, and described feeling drawn to it, as if something beyond their understanding had One more time. The agent's notes were meticulous. The agent's notes were meticulous, charting their own mental unraveling as they dug deeper. They had obtained a photograph, much like the others, and described feeling drawn to it, as if something beyond their understanding had compelled them to stare. Soon, they too began to suffer the symptoms, hallucinations, insomnia, the feeling of being watched by something unseen. But unlike the others, they had one final observation. The entity is not bound to the The entity is not bound to the image itself. It transcends it. It enters through the mind. Once you see it, once you acknowledge its existence, it knows you. Well, that's not great. Okay. Sarah's pulse. Bleh. Sarah's pulse raced. The words felt like a warning, meant for anyone foolish enough to read too far. Yet, she couldn't stop. Her eyes flickered down the page, hungry. Sarah's pulse raced. The words felt like a warning, meant to... Sarah's pulse raced. The words felt like a warning, meant for anyone foolish enough to read too far. Yet, she couldn't stop. Her eyes flickered down the page, hungry for more answers, for something. Damn. Stupid hiccups. Sarah's pulse raced. The words felt like a warning, meant for anyone foolish enough to read too far. Yet, she couldn't stop. Her eyes flickered down the page, hungry for more answers, for something that would explain the strange dread now gripping her. The report ended with the agent. The report ended with the agent's disappearance. No trace of them was ever found. Well, seems like the puppet got him too. Sorry, I don't have a mute button on this. I forgot. Unless it's... Nope, it's not that. Nope. Swore I saw there was a mute button. I'll have to do more digging next time. Just as Sarah was about to close the file, something slipped from between the pages. A photograph. No, Sarah, don't look at the photograph. It's a terrible idea. Don't look at the photograph, Sarah. Don't do it. I know that this is a horror story, but Sarah, don't do it. Her heart lurched. It was a picture of the... It was a picture. Yeah. Her heart lurched. It was a picture of the puppeteer. She stared at it, transfixed. The man stood in the shadows, holding the puppet in one hand, its limp wooden limbs hanging lifeless. But just like in the other reports, the man's face was a smudged blur. She felt the room shift, as though the very walls were pulled inwards, enclosing her in a tightening grip. The temperature plummeted further, her breath now visible in the air. Okay, well, Sarah's now doomed. Bye, Sarah. Nice reading about you. Suddenly, a sensation crawled up her spine, a cold, creeping awareness that she was no longer alone. Sarah's eyes darted to the edge of the room, to the corners where the shadows seemed to gather unnaturally thick. The photograph fell from her hands, landing face up on the floor. In the silence, the ticking of the clock grew deafening, each second pounding in her ears. She bent down to pick up the photograph, but hesitated. Something was wrong. The puppet, it had moved. Let me do it one more time. In the silence, the ticking of the clock... You know, I said I'm going to do it again, and then I mess it up. In the silence, the ticking of the clock grew deafening, each second pounding in her ears. She bent down to pick up the photograph, but hesitated. Something was wrong. The puppet, it had moved. Its head was now turned ever so slightly, looking directly at her. Sarah's breath hitched. She jerked upwards, eyes wide, heart hammering in her chest. Her instinct was to flee, to leave the file, the photograph, the room, everything, but her legs refused to move. Her mind whirled. Gonna do it one more time. Well, it's nice to feel like you're being read to. I get that. Alright. Her instinct was to flee, to leave the file, the photograph, the room, everything, but her legs refused to move. Her mind whirled. Had she seen it? Really seen it move? I didn't. Oops, nope, come back, thank you. Then she remembered the warning. She glanced at the file's cover again. This time, the words in bold at the top seemed to scream to her. Do not open without official APE protective eyewear. Her stomach dropped. It was too late. She had opened it, she had seen it, and now it had seen her. The room dimmed as the shadows lengthened, closing in, and Sarah felt the unmistakable pull of visible strings tightening around her. No. The room dimmed as the shadows lengthened, closing in, and Sarah felt the unmistakable pull of visible strings tightening around her wrist. Nope, I don't like how I read that still. The room dimmed at the shadow. The room dimmed as the shadow lengthened, closing in, and nope, one more time. The room dimmed as the shadow lengthened. Shadows. It was more than one. The room dimmed as the shadows lengthened, closing in, and Sarah felt the unmistakable pull of... The room dimmed as the shadows lengthened, closing in, and Sarah felt the unmistakable pull of invisible strings tightening around her wrist. She wasn't alone anymore. Hello, Angel. Welcome. And yeah, 100% sounds like an SCP. Completely like an SCP. It might be someone who wanted to write a story like SCP but didn't want it fair use for anyone. Because if you write for the SCPs, you don't own the rights to the characters, from what I remember. I'm just waiting for the system to finish what it's doing. Okay, that's done. This won't be a super quick edit. I think I'm just going to read you guys a story, a short one. No recording it, just read it. You guys have to deal with the mistakes. Like if you get a nun when they're just an agent. But they're agent nun now. Totally part of a convent. Not covert at all. Nope, nope. They're a convent. I don't make the rules. My mouth does. SCP. Okay. All right. Nope, don't want that. And that. Okay. So you guys can't see all the pop-ups I'm making. So you don't see all the other stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes. I could see like an SCP totally being like this. Yeah, really could. It's really cool. Very well. Very well done. Don't know why the time went up on it, but that's poking holes in a story that was very well written. And sometimes I overanalyze things. And also put nuns into stories without meaning to. Gotta have a nun in your story. I think it's one of the fastest times I've recorded a story. Normally, I'm definitely going over my tongue a lot more than this, so that's nice. Mm-hmm. All right. Almost done here. I know watching me edit is not exactly the best, most fun thing to do. It's pretty time consuming. And I have this pretty streamlined. Oh, God damn it. Stupid loopable thing. Oh, I don't like how long that pause is. Maybe just a smidge. This is gonna be closer to 10 minutes, not 11. Didn't realize I had a big giant space in there. Yeah, it's okay though. Almost done. We're at 8 minutes. Just have to get to 11s and we'll be done. Doom, 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 doom. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Do I have? Yes, I do. Okay. Hey, Dark Horse Tales, welcome. Hopefully, I saw you in time before you left. It's been a while since I saw you. It's also been a really long time since I've been live. Oops, no, that's not what I meant to do. I don't want to record more. I'm done recording. The recording is done. Okay, we're just gonna do that. Do 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 do. Yep, and a little bit more of that, and oh, it was still 11 minutes. Okay, that's awesome. And that. Okay, we're done with that. Okay, so just let me quickly record this, or not record it, sorry, save it, and then we're done. Reddit stories. Uh, 1113. Second, 2025. Expert. Okay, that guy's done. And it's finished. Come on, baby girl. Progress tracker. Come on. All right. 1113 for that one. I'm just gonna add it. Oh, okay. I forgot. There was actually another name I had to say. I can fix that later. I forgot about that completely. All right, so I'm just gonna read you one very quick one. It's a rule one, so no, they're not Sydney's favorite, but it's only 3 minutes long. So, and then I'll be done. Okay, I'm just gonna find you if I can find it. It doesn't seem to like when I close one and reopen another one. If I can't, we'll just stick with this screen for the moment. Nope, there it is. Okay. No, go away. Stupid thing. Okay. Scavenger's Introductory by Yosawat38. Welcome to Point Indy, though only permanent state within 10 miles of the outskirts of Indianapolis. After checking in with the boundary patrol at the wall, you should have received a map of the region and of the city in Indianapolis. This list of guidelines is complementary to those items and important for survival if you plan to salvage in the city ruins. 1. Make sure essentials are packed. 1A, a flashlight, salts, a watch, a non-perishable goods lasting around a week, gas mask, a lighter, extra batteries, and a candle that's neither black nor red. These can be bought or rented at the Indy Trades Co. 2. Be alert. Indy is a hostile place, uninhabited for almost a decade now. Floors and woodwork are rotting and easy to give in. Buildings are prone to collapse and became shelters for animals. Sewage and underground areas have poor or no ventilation, resulting in dead air. Dead air. Watch for warning signs. 3. Watch for warning signs. Creatures often leave signs on accident. These often include corpses of humans or animals with no evidence of a predator, abnormally clean areas of ruin, abnormal perception of time, abstractions of reality, and people claiming they're from a nearby settlement that's not here. 3A. If a warning sign is detected, light your candle first, then turn off electrical lighting. If you're inside, move calmly and slowly unless being pursued. C3B. Move to a more secluded area, a windowless room, alley, or a wooden area. Once there, surround yourself with salt or keep the candle inside. Do not leave the circle until no warning signs have shown for at least an hour or on your watch. Do not trust your internal clock. 3B. If being pursued, feel free to run or flee. Make sure you throw salt behind you as you run. Do not stop running until the warning signs stop. Then proceed with instructions inside. 3A. Wait 2 hours instead of 1, and do not spend the night over at the city. If this occurs during night or evening, stay in your circle and stay awake until the next day. 4. If you stay the night, which is not recommended by any means, seek an enclosed shelter with 2 options of escape. Surround yourself, bed, or whatever you're sleeping with salt. Do not light the candle while sleeping for obvious reason. You should stay in your shelter until daybreak unless you are pursued, in which case follow 3B in your shelter and return the room to its original state before leaving. Good luck. All right, and that is everything for me, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. The randomness that was my live stream. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a very good night, and I hope to see you guys a lot sooner in the future. Again, I can't set a date, can't set a time. My job is way too all over the place. I just felt like I could live stream today. Also took me 40 minutes or a half an hour to get to work because it's been so long. Some of the stuff didn't work right. So have a great night, guys. Take care. See you in the future. More stories will be coming. Bye, guys.